Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I am recording this on September 19th. So, yesterday was the Fed announcement of a 50 basis point move. I did a previous video of the pre-Fed announcement and how I thought that the markets would play out. All right. So, we're going to do a post-Fed announcement analysis. So, I went over currency markets, a little bit on the oil markets and the equity markets. All right. So I want to kind of review that. But before I do, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and help support my work by donating. You can donate through Stripe, PayPal, or buy me a coffee. You can also be a paid member on my Patreon channel. Higher tiered members on Patreon have access to my pulmonology and immunology lecture series, parts of it, depending on the level, tier level you are. Now, if you haven't already, please subscribe to all my channels. I have 4 channels on YouTube. I have Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. It's important that you follow me on all these channels. Also follow me on X and GETTR so you get announcements on my thoughts and what I'm publishing. So please follow me, subscribe, and go to the store and help support my work by donating. You're helping for these videos to be free. I have thousands of videos that are free to teach people about economics, finance, about how to improve their health, and how to navigate some of the geopolitical things that are happening in the world today. And I give it a little bit of a different perspective. So with that said, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the structural nano silver liquids. I have 3 different types. I have max 35 and max 14. So it's 35 ppms and max 14 is 14 parts per million. I also have another brand that's in 35 ppms. Please go to the store, take the structural nano silver liquid, take it every day. I take it every day. And what you do is that you just take a teaspoon of it, swish it in your mouth, gargle, and swallow. You swish it in your mouth and gargle 20 seconds or so. And that way you're neutralizing pathogens and you're maintaining the mucosal barrier. In addition, it's a light cleanse for you. So when you swallow it, it'll help to reset your gut biome, improve your gut biome. So you should take it every day. I've been taking structural nano silver for more than 4 years. Now, we're in cold season, all right, in the United States. And it's really important not only to take the structural nano silver liquid every day to neutralize pathogens, and if you're not feeling well, take a tablespoon or 2 a day, all right? But also to get lozenges and drops that are structural nano silver, because the structural nano silver neutralizes the pathogen. I have 2 types of lozenges. I have the Manuka honey flavor and the elderberry zinc flavor. There's 21 lozenges in each of these bags. Get a couple bags for your household so you're ready. The key is the moment you start feeling an irritation, you take the lozenges, right? And you're neutralizing pathogen and you're maintaining that mucosal barrier, so you're reducing the chance of further infection. Really important to catch it early. So get a couple bags for your household, because when you need it, you have it and you can mitigate the problem right away. I also have 3 different flavors that are the drops. I have it in honey and lemon drops in 100 count, cherry and blueberry in 100 count. Very high quality. Again, same thing. It's made from structural nano silver. Right? Drops are a little bit smaller than the lozenges, but there's more in a bag. There's 100 drops in each bag. It's made from the structural nano silver. The moment you have that irritation, start using the drops or the lozenges, neutralize that pathogen, and maintain that mucosal barrier in your oral cavity and in the back of your throat. And that way you are you're increasing the chances of protecting yourself. All right. Because that irritant, if you don't mitigate it, if you don't neutralize it, if you don't maintain your mucosal barrier, you're increasing the chances of getting further infection. You don't want that. So taking these drops right away is really important. All right. In addition, when you're starting to feel that your throat's not feeling well, you should be gargling with this. You take a tablespoon and gargle with it. That way you're neutralizing and maintaining that mucosal barrier. So that way you are reducing the effects of getting a cold. Now, this, not only are you trying to prevent getting sick, but if you do this on a regular basis, right? If you take structural nanosilver daily, you're reducing the chances of getting sick. When you're reducing the chances of getting sick, then you're allowing for your body to heal. Because what happens is this: let's say you get a common cold and it's been somewhat, it's mild, all right? And you only have it for a week or 5 days or whatever. Your body takes about 3 to 4 weeks to heal after that cold. Now, if you have something more severe, it takes even longer. The average person in the United States has at least 2 or 3 times they get a cold. They have some sort of infection, respiratory kind of cold like symptoms. All right, 3 times a year. So if it takes almost 4 weeks for the body to fully heal on a mild cold, then 25% of your year for the average American that's relatively unhealthy, or not at their max with health, 25% of your year is having a cold and trying to heal from that cold, instead of healing your body to slowing down the aging process. So this is the reason why neutralizing pathogens is one of the major pillars for anti-aging and improving your immune system, because you're not chronically fighting something or chronically trying to heal something, such as a common cold, 3 times a year. So you just want to mitigate it. The better you do with this, the better you are with slowing down the aging process and boosting up your immune system. So it's really important to take the structural nanosilver liquid every day, swish it in your mouth, gargle, swallow. Take the structural nanosilver drops or lozenges the moment you start feeling irritation. Get a couple bags for your household so you're ready. You're ready for that. Good night formula. Really important to take when you're not sleeping well. There are many people that are not sleeping well in the United States. They're worried about finance or worried about the election or whatever. It's really important that you have good sleep for 3 reasons. 1, deep sleep, especially with 3 cycles of REM, will allow you to be well rested, so you have more energy when you wake up in the morning. It also helps with consolidating memory. You need deep sleep and REM sleep for consolidation of memory. In addition, you detoxify your body. So if you're chronically sleep deprived, you're not detoxifying your body properly. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Get the Good Night formula. It's made from tryptophan and melatonin. And there's some other vitamins and minerals that are in this. But please go to the store, get this, get those 3 cycles of REM sleep and deep sleep. So you are detoxifying your body, you are getting well rested, and you are consolidating memory. Chronic sleep deprivation will lead to neurological degeneration. So please go to my store and get the Good Night formula. Vitamin D3, really important for absorbing calcium, but it's also a gene expression cofactor. So for your cells to have proper cellular processing, you need vitamin D3. During the cold season, if you have an infected cell, you need D3 to help for that cell to go into apoptosis. So take vitamin D3. I take 2, these are soft gels. I take 2 soft gels a day. I take 1 in the morning and 1 at night. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Vitamin D3 also is a part of a protocol to help to improve your bone structure and your joint health. In addition, if you follow my protocol, it'll help with cardiovascular health. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. With that said, I want to drop into Bloomberg a little bit just before I cover the currency markets and the equity markets. All right, trading in New York hasn't started yet, so let's just drop into Bloomberg at the moment here.
Thinking at all. He's just a sweet historian. He was very into details and very meticulous in his empirical work.
In the empirical work, bring that forward where you are, without question, the most influential call in American economics this year. Forget about our starting brilliance, that's old news. Birth debt and our misguess on the labor economy. How off the mark are we right now?
I think my estimate is that every month the non-farm payroll is overstating by an average of 91,000 per month. So if the 3-month average, moving average from June, July, and August is 116,000.
I mentioned that yesterday.
Yeah.
Go.
So basically, the true underlying pace is probably closer to 20,000.
Does that migrate to a negative statistic, as David Kelly at JP Morgan talks about?
Well, I think that would be very close to swap speed. So if the Fed's estimate of a break-even pace of job growth required to stabilize unemployment rate is about 200,000, and the economy is only producing 20,000 per month, then that
Well, that's jargon. Small speed is what the Boston Red Sox are doing right now. Continue.
Why are they overcounting again? What's the miscalculation?
Right. So in an economic downturn, there's just a lot of firms going, bankrupt, filing Chapter 11, and we have seen as of mid-year a 31% rise in Chapter 11 filings, and at the same time, business formations is slowing. So as a result, the BLS estimate the job growth from net birth and death firms, right? Because they tend to get these data only a year later with the QCEW. Powell mentioned QCEW yesterday. I predict that the QCEW will be the next CPI supercore. Now that Powell has mentioned that he's going to mentally adjust the non-farm payrolls according to QCEW, everybody will be paying attention to the next QCEW update, which would be for the second quarter. We estimate that the second quarter actually did see a sharp rise in bankruptcies and slowdown in job formation. That was the quarter when non-farm payroll in April was probably negative once you adjust for the adjustments.
Well, is the Fed now behind dealing with the labor market, do you think? And that may be one of the reasons why you went 50 basis points and not 25?
So Powell did not acknowledge that, but I think they are now back on the curve. They used to be behind, now they're back.
When you look at let's bring this back to English. Okay, let's move away from you mentioned imperial work, Professor Eichengreen. Let's move it to English. Model what you just said over to the tip point mentally in the country of 4.x, 5.x.
I want to jump in here. So yesterday, our Federal Reserve central bank, all right, the central bank, our Federal Reserve in the United States, lowered the rate by 50 basis points. That's all right. So 50 basis points means 0.5, right? 100 basis points is 1%, right? So we did 50 basis point cut. Last night, the Bank of England decided to hold rates. So I was explaining on the previous show, the pre-Fed announcement show that I did recently, that central banks will make their own decisions, and based on that, there's going to be some relative moves in the currency market. All right. So it's not just as simple as what the Fed did, but what other central banks will do. Now, the Fed has a lot of power in the market in terms of traders reacting, their reaction, what is called the reaction function. Their reaction function is much more powerful for the Federal Reserve than some of the other central banks. But, of course, the ECB, the Bank of England, and the BOJ are important. But the Federal Reserve is really a major force with that reaction function. Now, let me jump into the currency here. So we were looking at, we were talking about once the Federal Reserve lowers rates, that the dollar will weaken. And if you look at the candle, right now, the dollar index, so the DXY, is trading at 100.9. Okay. The day of the announcement, it went as low as 100.2. So it's moving close to 100. All right. The dollar index is based on a basket of currencies, the dollar relative to those currencies, and each currency has a different weight. This is going back years, like almost 15 years ago, but I believe the euro has about 30% of the dollar index as part of its weight. So the dollar euro combo, I think, is 30% of the index. But the point here, I'd have to double check that. That's a long time ago when I looked at that. But there's a basket of currencies relative to the dollar, and there's a weight for each, and there's an index. All right. For most of the year, the dollar peaked at about 106.5. All right. So most of the year it was trading, in the range of 104 to 106. Now it's trading close to 100. So the dollar has been weakening ever since there's been a major downturn since July. And each day, it's been having a steady decline with some relief rallies, but there's a steady decline of the dollar. The Fed lowers rates, it weakens the currency. So that signal in the dollar index, like I said on the pre-Fed announcement show, that the dollar would weaken. That is what's happening, and it's moving more closer to 100 for the DXY. All right, now for the euro, the intraday candle did go up and peaked at about just below 1.12, which is roughly the peak for this year. But large candle, and then there's whiskers on the candle. All right. So it traded up and then started to mean revert back down. All right. But there's an overall, at least for the last few days, there's an overall movement upward for euro. That means that the euro looks like it will strengthen relative to the dollar, which is what I thought would happen. All right. But currencies, there's moves, and there's a longer trend that starts to develop. So I think we're starting to see the longer trend of the euro going up past 1.12, maybe even to 1.2. Instead of 1.12, it might go to 1.2. And the dollar index may be hit below 100, but it depends. It might hover at 100. But it looks like the dollar index, the DXY, is going to be moving closer to 100, and the euro is going to be moving more closer to 1.2. Now, the yen, like I said, yen is a weird pair because there seems to be BOJ intervention. All right. And I normally use the yen as a risk indicator. All right. I've been doing that ever since I started in finance. All right. So in theory, when all the variables are held constant, if the dollar weakens, the yen should strengthen, assuming everything else is left constant. But what we see here in the last two trading sessions, today's trading session, last night, and yesterday's trading session, actually the yen weakened and the dollar strengthened, which is not what you would expect. This is the reason why I use the USD yen as a risk indicator. If the yen is weakening, it's risk on. Equities and equity play is on, and you should invest in equities. If the yen starts to strengthen and the dollar starts to weaken relative to the yen, independent of everything else, then that's usually risk off, and that there will be a sell-off in the market, in the equity market. So we're seeing two relatively decent-sized candles during the Fed announcement and post-Fed announcement, where it's actually dollar strengthening relative to the yen. So yen is slightly weakening. Now, the day before, it looks like the day before the Fed announcement, the yen started trading the lowest at the lowest trading point was at 139.57, so below the 140 mark, and then popped back up. Okay, the announcement, the Fed announcement, and it started trading the high point. Okay, so now the trading is starting. So we'll take a look at the print here soon. But it's yesterday the yen was trading just it had a range, but the high point of that range yesterday was trading above 142. And then today it's trading at 143.4. Okay. So you can see that the Fed announcement actually weakened the yen and strengthened the dollar in relative terms, even though the euro, it's looks like it's stabilized. There's not a big move up, but it looks like there's a weakening of the dollar and a strengthening of the euro. All right, so but it's stabilized. There's not a lot of move with euro. Maybe the market is waiting for the ECB to make an announcement. Maybe not. We'll see. But it's stabilized. But it looks like there's a move. It looks like there's an appreciation on the euro relative to the USD. The DXY index, the dollar index, looks to be weakening and moving closer to 100, and the yen is weakening a little bit in relative terms to the dollar. So it's a risk on play. Now, I said that. Okay, so the market is trading now at. The market is trading now at the SPX is trading at 5.7. Okay, so the S&P 500 is trading at 5,708. 5,708. I was saying that after the Fed announcement, the equity market was going to go up, and that we were going to probably print by the end of the year a record of 5,800, maybe even 6,000. So that's still in the cards. All right, and there's about let me double check here. But there is a support level at about one support level is 515. So SPY is trading at 5,700. Okay, now it peaked at 5,700. Wait, I'm sorry. S&P 500 is 5,710. All right, and SPY, all right, the ETF to buy the S&P 500 is 571 peak so far today. All right, well, it just opened. So it's playing out like I said, that the market was going to go up with the Fed lowering rates. The high point for SPY is going to be 580, maybe even 600 by year end. That's what I'm seeing. It's not going to be a sell-off. It's going to be actually a rally. The dollar is going to continue to decline in the DXY. And depending on what these central banks are doing, depends on how much the dollar in relative terms will weaken with the euro or the pound. Now, the yen, as long as the dollar is strengthening and the yen is weakening, at least in the short term, we're probably going to see additional rally in the equity market. All right, so it's risk on. It's risk on. Meaning risk on, meaning go buy equities. All right. So now let's talk about support levels. For SPY for the equity market, the support level, the first support level is going to be, major support level is going to be 515. The psychological support level below that is 500. And then below that is a major support level at 483. At 483. So 483, 500, 515. Those are the support levels. We've already broke a intraday trading high in the S&P 500 just now. So things are going to be going up. All right. In the near term, this year, equities are going to be going up. Now, what does that mean with the VIX? The VIX is probably trading low at the moment. So if dollar is going up relative to the euro and VIX is low, it's also a positive sign for equities to move up. So if we look at the VIX, what it's trading at right now, VIX is trading at 16, which is relatively low, right? If you're at the high 20s or 30s, then risk is starting to build up into the system. But if you're trading in the teens, that's low risk. So that's buy equities. That's another sign of buying equities. Now, what's happening in the energy markets? Well, before we do that, let's drop back into Bloomberg, and then I will explain to you what's happening in the energy markets, and then take a look at the equity market. But before I do that, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the probiotics. The probiotics are really important to help to reset your gut biome, to improve your energy absorption, to reduce inflammation in the gut, because chronic inflammation hurts your metabolism and it reduces your immune system. So it's really important to make sure that you take a good probiotic. I have two different types of probiotics. I have a powder probiotic that you mix it with food or with water. It has a little scooper in here, so you take a scooper a day. This is the one that I usually take. And then I also have a veggie cap version for easier consumption. So please go to the store and get the probiotics that I offer, so you're improving your gut health and improving your immune system. Clarity factor, really important, so you can think clearly. You're reducing that brain fog. You can concentrate on work or school or whatever, and you can keep those neurons connected and get those neurons releasing those neurotransmitters. By having healthy, connected neurons, you're going to be able to think faster, and you're going to be able to consolidate memory better. It's really important. And clarity factor is synergistic with many other supplements that I take, like ubiquinol and C60. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the clarity factor. You should be taking this every day to maintain your neural health. Turmeric and ashwagandha. Ashwagandha root will help to lower your blood glucose levels, right? Reduce inflammation in your vascular system, and bring down the cortisol levels. When you're chronically inflamed, your cortisol levels will go up. If you're stressed, your cortisol levels will go up. And those high chronic cortisol levels will weaken the immune system and age your body faster. By taking ashwagandha root on a regular basis, you're bringing down those cortisol levels. So you're doing less, you're reducing the damage from the cortisol on your immune system, and reducing the aging of your cells from the high cortisol levels. It's controlling your blood glucose levels so you're not diabetic. And in addition, it's synergistic. By bringing down that inflammation, it's synergistic with turmeric, which is a strong antioxidant, but also brings down inflammation. So these work together to improve your cardiovascular system, but also to improve your immune system by bringing down that inflammation. Now, I have explained to people some of the problems from the post-2020 crisis, how our immune system is disrupted, and there's chronic inflammation. On top of the poor American diet, the SAD, the standard American diet, the SAD diet is pro-inflammatory and weakens our immune system. So when you couple lifestyle by Americans and the post-2020 aftershock of a weakened immune system, you are going to need to start following what I am saying to help strengthen that immune system by bringing down inflammation, neutralizing pathogens, neutralizing free radicals. All right, that's really, and taking supplements that are very targeted in improving the immune system. It's really important. All right, when you do that, you are slowly healing your immune system, and you're having your body age slower. All right, so turmeric and ashwagandha are major pillars for that, to bring down that inflammation and control the glucose levels and the cortisol levels. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Link is in the description of this video. It's the-studio-reykjavik.com. So let's go and drop into Bloomberg and what they have to say here.
This is from the script of
A very angry young man.
a very angry young man from 2015. Can you buy New York big bank? Can you buy the future of Bank of America? Not individual stocks, but can you buy the big bank success of the future?
So let's talk about what the positives are. The positives are that the regulators did a very, very good job post Dodd-Frank, led by Vice Chair Daniel Tarullo, truly one of the unsung heroes of the financial system. The leverage in the banks is cut by more than half. Even within that leverage, they have been de-risked. So the financial system of the United States, as far as I'm concerned, is very, very safe, and I don't lose any sleep about it. And by the way, I sleep very well.
Right.
But do I think there's a great story to invest in some of the very large banks?
Right.
Not really. I just don't think there's a story there one way or the other.
Too important. I got to get this in. Lex in the FT today blistering about private equity and the ability not to cash out. Do you see potential problems within the illiquidity of private equity?
You could spin any bad tale you want. There's just not enough data on what's in private equity to really know one way or the other.
You can't make that guess.
I can't make that judgment.
See that? He says his lawyers love him.
What
do individuals?
Oh, my lawyers love me. One time, quick story, in the 90s, I was at Oppenheimer, and Oppenheimer got sued over something that I had written, and there was, it was discovery, and the lawyers called me and said, send us everything you have on this company that you wrote about. And I sent it to them, which was only the reports that I had written. And the lawyer called me and said, what about your notes? And I said, I don't have notes. I don't take notes. He goes, I love you.
Steve Eisman, thank you so much. We love you too. I really appreciate it, Mr. Eisman. These are New River Burma, some perspective there, given most interesting times. I wrote a message to our team. I mean, it's amazing. It has to go, Lisa knows this, it has to go through like a hierarchy of like 6 people to get down to the interns booking. I promise we will get Lawrence McDonald on here. My essay of the year for 2023 on the wall of money that is out there. He needs to redo that essay. Really looking forward to that. With the Dow up 470 points, SPX up 85 points. Paul, 2.4%. It's like, what do we do? Say, wait for 2 p.m. when it sells off?
Yes, I don't know. It's an odd market. But again, I guess you have a lot of people sleep on this rate cut and kind of come to a Goldilocks type review.
2-year peg, 3.62%. But as Steve Eisman mentioned, Yield's higher, 10-year yield, 3.75%, 4.0. Paul, I gotta go down and look at gold up $2, $2,600 on gold. And people say to me, what are you watching? What are you watching? What are you watching? Here's what I'm watching out
Well,
2 months.
okay, so this is an important feature. I look at the bond market a little bit, but I don't actively trade the bond market. So, but when you're lowering rates, then what's going to happen, at least in theory, when the Federal Reserve lowers rates, then over time, the yield curve will shift. Now, short term, sometimes the front of the yield curve shifts up and down faster than the back of the yield curve. Sometimes it's the other way around, all right? But usually the front of the yield curve. So you have the yield curve has yield and then duration, like let's say a 2-year bond, 5-year bond, a 10-year, a 30-year, right? So the longer out you go, the value of money, right? You got to deal with the value of money. So interest rates. And so normally a normal yield curve is positively moving, not going down. It's not inverted. All right. So that's a normal curve. Now, in theory, when the Federal Reserve lowers rates over time, so in the short term, the front of the curve will go down, but then traders will start to reprice the bond market and move the curve down, right? Unless something else happens in the market. But let's just say, in simple terms, the front of the yield curve comes down, and then price expectation, interest rate expectation starts to go down with the yield curve. And so there's this change. So you're seeing in the 2-year, okay, so that's more in the front to middle part of the curve, that the yields are going down. The 5, which is all right, like remember what I said, you have like 30-day, 90-day, 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, 30-year. So the 5 is going down and the 10 is going down and the 30-year is going down. So now we're at the 2 years at 3.6. This is interesting. The 2-year is 3.6, so it's slightly higher than the 5-year, 3.5, but the 10-year is 3.7. So 10-year is higher than the 2-year, and the 30-year is 4.08, and that's the highest. Okay, so there's a little bit of a kink where the front of the yield curve is a little bit higher for the 2-year versus the 5-year, but then the rest of the curve, it's higher in interest rates, in absolute interest rates, or yield, I should call it, I should use the term yield. But the overall movement is downward. Okay, so we have a little bit of a kink between the 2 and the 5. 2 is trading higher than the 5, but the 10 is trading higher in terms of yield than the 2 or the 5, and the same thing with the 30-year, but the whole curve is slowly moving downward. All right. So, that's, I think, for people that don't realize that when you lower rates by the Federal Reserve, it changes certain bond yields, and not at the same level, not at the same time. Right. And there's like this movement, and it depends on where people want to put the money. It seems to me that we need time. We need some time for this to emerge. But I suspect that the 2-year yield will actually go, either the 2-year yield will hold or go down a little bit more, and the 5-year yield will go up, or the 5-year yield will hold and the 2-year yield will go below the 5. Right. So maybe they're trying to price in, or maybe traders are a little worried that maybe the Federal Reserve won't do another cut after the election. Maybe that's what that signal is with the 2-year. But there is a little bit of a disconnect between the 2-year and the 5-year. And I'd have to sit down and really think about what that really means. But the theory here is that when the interest rates go down by the Federal Reserve, the yield curve in theory is supposed to go down. And in a perfect world, which is not what we have here, in a perfect world, all the durations are slightly higher in yield relative to each other, but the overall movement is shifted down. All right. And that would mean less interest on your loan for a car or a home or for borrowing for a business. So this is, as that yield curve is going down, that's good for borrowers. Now for savers, ones that are on fixed income and they've invested in the bond market, if they've locked in at a higher rate, then they're okay. But if they have to revolve into a lower rate, then their income is less for that fixed income component of their portfolio. So that's going to hurt people that are savers that are in the bond market. So, you have to keep in mind that lowering rates depends on, is it good or bad? It depends on who you are. If you are borrowing money, lowering rates is actually good. If you're saving, then, as you revolve if you locked in at a high rate for a 30-year, then for a bond, then you're good as a saver. But if you only locked in for a year and you have to reset next year, interest rates may be lower and then your income is less. So this is what we call, rate risk, right? Or yield return risk. So it just depends on who you are. Now, baby boomers, as they are retiring and they're putting more and they're moving their money into bonds, if they're in bonds and they're exposed to the front of the curve where it's 1, 2, or 3 year, they may, as they're revolving that bond, they may be having less income. So lowering rates isn't as simple as, is it good for the economy? Depends on who you are in the economy, right? So, so hopefully you get that. I'm curious on why the 5 yield is trading lower than the 2 year. Why the 2 years, trading a little bit higher. I would have expected that everything is kind of go back to de-inverted, I think it's the term, de-inverted. But major move in oil. All right. Okay. So as the market was, let's talk about oil here. So this is WTI. So this is not Brent. Brent is more international oil. This is the US. All right. Now, before, most of the early morning trading, it was trading a little bit above 70.7 and, hovering around $70 a barrel and 70 cents. And then all of a sudden it dropped. And it dropped from 70.7 all the way, and it's right now trading at 70.27. Okay, so there must have been a news announcement about maybe barrels of oil print. The DOJ, the Department of Energy, is also aiming at buying barrels for their strategic reserve, maybe at a certain price. I don't know. I'd have to read the news to what caused this big drop. It probably will mean revert throughout the trading session. But the point is there's a big drop in oil. Now, what I was saying in the pre-Fed announcement is that a weakening of the dollar, assuming the number of barrels production and the consumption, so supply and demand stayed the same, and it's just dollar related, that the weakening of the dollar would raise the price of the barrel of oil. All right. So we did see that in the intraday trading early in the announcement yesterday, but then it came back down. All right. And it peaked at about 71.14 and then came back down and started wanting to trade in the mid 70s. Okay. So now we have a further decline early in the session. Now, does that mean it reverts? Who knows? Oil is very volatile. It's hard to get a structure out of it. You're lucky if you can figure out the range, the up range and the down range for it. So with this, the economic theory, assuming everything was constant, dollar weakening would mean the barrel of oil would be going up. All right. It did happen early in the trading session and peaked at 71.14, but went back down. That means that there are traders that are saying there's just too much oil on the market. Now, what is interesting is the Department of Energy decided to start to restock its strategic reserve. All right. My understanding is that restocking is, I have to read a little bit more of the detail. My understanding is that restocking is happening in February to May. So, there may be some play going on with, well, the buying isn't going to happen until next year. So because there's so much oil on the market now, barrel of oil might be going down. As a short-term play, who knows? Who knows? All right. But the thing is in theory, right? A weakening dollar means a more expensive barrel of oil. It takes more dollars to buy a barrel of oil, assuming supply and demand are in equilibrium. It doesn't look like they're in equilibrium. It seems as though there's more supply than demand. So that might be, at least in the short term, additional pressure down on barrel of oil. So with that said, I want to go back to what Bloomberg is saying here.
We're not in.
We're up to 2.x%. We're now up only 2.2%. Dow is up, I don't know, Lisa, did we get over 500? I think we were up over 500 at one point.
Yes.
We're now up only 430. The VIX 16.61. I don't know what to make of it, Paul.
And Tom, your Bitcoin is up 4.5%. We're almost 63,000.
Is it Alex Steele or is it going to be a Matt Miller guest entrance?
I think it's gonna be Alex Steele. That's how we're gonna go today.
We'll see.
Tomorrow, we don't know.
Summer's over.
Somebody's taking a day off.
80's done, like clouds in the sky. There's only one song. Mr. Henley, good morning.
I'm sure that many people are listening to this show. I remember when that song came out on the radio. And, it kind of teleports you back to the 80s, it came out in the 80s. But, all right, so we talked about the equity market right now. The S&P 500 is trading at 5,697. So it's going to be around the 5,700 mark. Now, for SPY to be able to trade this with an ETF, SPY, it'll be trading at about 570. Okay, so you just move the decimal point to the left. But it's playing out. The Federal Reserve announcement, lowering rates, moving the equity market up. The dollar is weakening in relative terms with the full basket, the DXY basket. Risk on, at least short term, with the yen and USD trading pair. VIX is low at 16. And there's a little bit of fluctuation in oil and trading in the low 70s, but like 70 something, 70 was, I'm not sure what it's trading at exactly right now, but 70.5. All right, so we're looking at a 70 handle for barrel of oil. Now, I think that the trading range for oil post-Fed announcement is probably at around 72 to about 67. So 72 to 67, I see is the range at this moment in time. All right. So while we're waiting for them to recycle, let me do a commercial here. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the omega-3. This will help to bring down your LDL levels and increase your HDL levels. That helps to improve your cholesterol. In addition, omega-3 helps prevent your red blood cells from sticking. In a post-2020 crisis, people have problems with clotting. So it's over clotting. So if you want to improve your cardiovascular health and reduce clotting effects, take the omega-3. You should be taking omega-3 every day, even before the 2020 crisis, because this helps to control your lipid profile. By controlling your lipid profile, you're reducing the chances of being on a statin. You don't want to go on a statin. Statins make you stupid. Lignans. It's a powder. It helps to boost up your immune system, and it helps with hormonal health. We have a problem in the United States where we're chronically inflamed. We have a weakened immune system because of the aftershock of the 2020 crisis, right? And we are bombarded by chemicals, by stuff in our water and our food and our air. There's chemtrails, there's forever chemicals and everything we touch. And this disrupts our endocrine system and our immune system. You want to boost up your endocrine system and your immune system. That's why you need to take lignans. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Take the lignans. It's a powder. It has a scooper. Take a scooper a day, mix it with food or water, and to help boost up your immune system and your hormonal health. This is for males and females, right? So it's really important to improve your endocrine system and really important to improve your immune system. There's something called turbo cancer, all right? And a part of that is because of a trashed immune system from the crisis we went through. You need to boost up your immune system. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Vitamin C, important also to help to boost up your immune system. It's an antioxidant and it helps to improve skin health. So please take vitamin C every day. This also has magnesium in it to help to boost up the immune system. And if you're not feeling well, take a double dose. Resveratrol. It's an antioxidant, but it also helps to improve mitochondrial health. It helps to get rid of senescent cells. This is part of the anti-aging protocol that I take. I take resveratrol every day. I've been taking resveratrol for decades. And what this does, it's synergistic with C60. C60 soaks up free radicals. It's synergistic with ubiquinol. It's synergistic with NAD+. It's synergistic with NAC. It's really important that you attack different angles of the biochemistry to help to improve cellular health, boost up the immune system, boost up the mitochondria, boost up the cellular processes, boost up the ATP, get rid of senescent cells, get cells that need to go into apoptosis. This is synergistic with D3. Remember what I said about D3? D3 helps to get rid of cells that have been infected and get rid of those cells through apoptosis. Resveratrol gets rid of senescent cells. How do you think senescent cells are disposed of? They have to go through apoptosis. So resveratrol and D3 work. They're synergistically in being able to get a cell to go into apoptosis that needs to go into apoptosis. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and take the resveratrol. Resveratrol's efficacy is much higher when you stack it with other things like C60 and ubiquinol and the NAD+. In terms of cardiovascular health, nattokinase is really important. It lowers LDL levels and increases your HDL levels. It helps to control the cholesterol, your overall cholesterol count. So by taking higher doses of nattokinase, you can prevent yourself from going on a statin if you have high cholesterol. If you don't have high cholesterol, just take a normal dose of nattokinase and you're maintaining your cardiovascular health. In addition, this is fibrinolytic. So it prevents overclotting. So please go to the store, take natokinase on a regular basis. I take it on a regular basis. So please go to the store, improve your cardiovascular health. All right, let's see what's happening here.
And Paul Sweeney, so 50, did you have that on your bingo card, guys?
I did not, but that's, it's interesting, the market yesterday, after the announcement, didn't really do a whole lot.
I know.
Around, and then I guess people slept on it, woke up and said, hey, this is good news.
Also want to point out, it is options expiration tomorrow. It's one of the
Oh.
largest that we've seen. So there's a lot of reshuffling to get your correct exposure and your hedging right into all of that. Just pointing that out.
That might be the reason why oil was good.
It is for flows, right? Like, and also, like, is this actual real buying because we're really excited about 50 basis points, or is this you got to rejigger your portfolio and sort of your index based on all of that? Anyway, yep, either way, we'll take it. Then what it means for the broader stocks and for the broader economy. So let's get to let's get more on some of the details here. Market Drivers is brought to you by Interactive Brokers, portfolio and analysts, consolidate and analyze all your financial accounts on one powerful dashboard for free. Sign up for portfolio analyst at ibkr.com/free PA. And let's get right to Norma Linda, who's combing through all the equity moves. I'm just going to kick you off at home builders for a sec, because we got that existing home sale number that came in weak. I don't think this is enough for Paul to refi. You're clearly going to be watching these guys, though.
I mean, I'm always keeping an eye on home builders, and I think right now, especially with this rate cut that we're seeing, that was 50 basis points, and as we look further into the year, everyone's really going to be watching to see whether or not the housing market will finally unlock. Will Paul be able to refinance? Will I be able to get a house? The world, we never know. But hopefully we find out soon. I'm looking at an index of home builders. It's S15 home, up as much as 2% today. And of course, we are seeing more of a broader risk on move. I am seeing information technology as the best performing sector in the market right now. But as I'm looking at individual stock moves, I'm also watching Darden Restaurants. That's surging as much as 9%. That's the best day since September of 2021. And as John mentioned, this is really the owner of Longhorn Steakhouse, Capitol Grill. If you guys have been to that steakhouse,
Oh, yeah.
really nice. Olive Garden, I'm not really frequent there anymore, but apparently some people do, and they actually are having packs with Uber. They'll be the first to pilot that program, and it's hoping to really attract younger audiences there. So we are seeing shares up 4% year to date. So not too much here, but we are seeing a bit of a pickup today as we're watching Garden stock.
What else are you looking at?
I'm also keeping an eye on AT&T. Now this is lower, down as much as 2.5% last time I checked. And this is after a Wall Street Journal report said that the company agreed to remove 8 miles of lead-covered cables from Lake Tahoe. And if you guys remember last year, the Wall Street Journal had really been conducting this investigation about a lot of the larger telecom companies like Verizon and them having their cables really caught up in areas that were actually affecting people in the area. Well, apparently AT&T didn't really do much to improve the situation after these investigations. They've been getting some more pressure from environmental groups, and this is finally causing AT&T to say that they're going to go ahead and remove the lead from in their cables and figure everything out in terms of Lake Tahoe there.
All right. Thanks so much, Nora. We really appreciate it. Norma Linda joining us there with all the market drivers that you need to know. So I don't know if you guys made it, but, it was also BOE today.
Yes.
Yes. It happened. Nothing happened, but,
Holding steady.
holding steady. They're approaching it, right? I mean, inflation has been a lot stickier there in some ways. Monetary Policy Committee voted 8-1 to keep rates steady there at 5%. So we wanted to get a little bit more reaction on this with Hugh Worthington, Bloomberg Intelligence European rate strategist. Okay, what was your take from the BOE?
Yeah, it was very much in line with expectations. That going into the meeting, markets had sort of a 15% chance of a cut today, which is sort of almost option value, really, isn't it? So, but I think it's got to be taken into context. And at the last meeting back in August, the Bank of England did surprise us a little bit in cutting rates back then. Back then, it was priced as 50-50 risk. And they got the ball rolling then. So basically, they was following on from the ECB in June when they cut, and the Bank of England got the ball rolling. And they basically said today, I think that effectively they are now looking at probably a series of cuts. So the next cut seems likely to follow the one in August in November, I would say. There's probably means that we're going to be looking at like a series of cuts. A 50 basis point cut from the Fed yesterday. I do wonder whether that might eventually at some point, if we get more of that sort of thing,
that might put a little bit more pressure on the Bank of England, possibly to have to sort of front load things too at some point. And obviously the stronger pound today, they'll be keeping an eye on that too, I thought.
So Hugh, just give us a snapshot here. of
After
the
they
economic
talk
conditions
out
on the ground in the UK, including inflation. What is the Bank of England looking at?
Yeah, so inflation in August came in at 2.2%, which is just above their target, but they are expecting a little bit of a re-acceleration in inflation, mainly due to base effects around energy. Now, back in August, they're actually expecting inflation in around November time to sort of rise back up again to 2.7 to 2.8% area. But actually, in this week's meeting, they've actually told us that they now think that's going to be sort of more like 2.5%. And then inflation starts to sort of tail off again into next year. And actually, on their official forecasts that we saw a few weeks ago, they actually think that inflation starts to undershoot their expectations in 2026 at around 1.5%. So they're sort of the view that inflation is playing ball. It is coming down. It's getting into target. But obviously, in the short term, there is going to be this little sort of, edging up again before it starts to come down again.
It does feel though that, and I was up in Canada talking to the deputy governor of the Bank of Canada over the week, and that inflation being a little bit sticky or wavy, I did kind of a wave to describe it, whether you're in the UK or whether you're in Canada or different parts of Europe, is different than what we see in the US, and that maybe the central bank will look through any sort of rises on that sense. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the growth outlook in Europe is nothing like what you're facing in America. We're not talking about complete stagnation, but I think you're talking about sort of real GDP in the UK this year is going to be running something like 1.3, 1.4%. Next year it's going to be sort of similar sorts of numbers as well, and it's the same in Europe as well. So there's much less of a demand pulls aspect of things, where compared to America, where I think at the moment at least growth looks much stronger. Obviously, maybe the Fed knows something that we don't have on that front, but yeah. So the outlook is not as robust, I'd say, fundamentally in Europe as compared to America.
All right, Hugh, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate getting your perspective. Hugh Worthington, he's a European rate strategist for Bloomberg Intelligence, joining us via Zoom from the London headquarters, Queen Victoria Street, in the city of London. So the Bank of England kind of staying put, at least for the time being, but the Federal Reserve lowered its benchmark interest rate by 0.5 percentage point Wednesday in an aggressive start to a policy shift aimed at bolstering the U.S. labor market. At the press conference, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell says that no one should look at the 50 basis point cut and assume it's the new pace. Let's take a listen.
I do not think that any. Let me read. This is the new pace. You have to think about it in terms of the base case. Of course, what happens will happen. We're recalibrating policy down over time to a more neutral level, and we're moving at the pace that we think is appropriate. You can take this as a sign of our commitment not to get behind.
All right, that was Fed Chairman Jay Powell yesterday at his press conference prepared remarks. Michael McKee was there.
Okay, so what I want to do is that the British pound to the USD has been going up, trading up in a good range. Right now, it's trading at 1.32. Throughout the year, it was averaging at around, I want to say at around 1.27, roughly. It started to really appreciate the pound in August, the beginning of August. So them holding the rate. Now, this is why I said that it's not just the Federal Reserve lowering rates, but it's also what the other central banks are going to be doing. All right. So the BOE, the Bank of England, decided, okay, hold rates at 5%. All right. So in relative terms, dollar weakened, they're staying the same. So that means that the currency value of the pound in relative terms to the dollar, the currency for the pound will appreciate compared to the dollar because of the weakening of the dollar by what the Fed did. Now, if the BOE decided to raise rates for whatever reason, the actual value of the pound would go up a lot more. Now, if they decided to lower rate by, let's say, a quarter point or 50 basis points, right? Then what would have happened is that may have neutralized what the Federal Reserve would have done and might have traded a little lower, the pound relative to the dollar, or may just stabilize and just stay flat. But what we're seeing here is that there is a desire in the trade in the currency markets to push the pound that the high point was at 1.33. So I wouldn't be surprised that over time we're seeing a 1.35 handle, a 1.35 trading level because of what the Federal Reserve did. Depending on if the BOE in future talks decides to lower, then that changes that dynamic. But at this moment in time, I can see this thing moving towards the 1.34, possibly even the 1.35 range for the pound. So with that said, at least you get a little bit more understanding of how the market digested that information. So I think this is a good lesson learned about, okay, what's happening pre-announcement and that expectation when it happens, how the different markets change in the currency, in the oil market, with the VIX, with the equity market, how it's changing the yield curve. So I think we covered quite a bit. Please go to my store, help support my work, and help to support your health. All right. If you follow what I'm doing to slow down the aging process and to boost up my immune system and to mitigate as we get older some of these problems like cardiovascular disease, how to mitigate that, how to mitigate problems with arthritis, or how to mitigate issues with the immune system or whatever. If you pay attention to how I'm doing things, you can kind of customize it for your own issue. All right. I explained how to reduce cardiovascular disease and plaque buildup, how to get off of statins, how to improve and protect your neural health. All right. How to get rid of senescent cells, how to detoxify the body, how to boost up your immune system, how to bring down inflammation, how to slow down the aging process, how to boost up your metabolism, how to reset your gut biome. If you listen, you're going to benefit a lot. And it's not just me saying it, it's what I do. And, it's obvious it's working. All right. It's self-evident just by looking at me that it works. All right. So please go to my store and follow what I'm doing. All right. So I take NAD+. Why? Because it boosts up the energy levels, and it's a it helps with DNA repair. As we get older, we have cells that the DNA is damaged and it needs a little bit of help to repair. NAD+ helps with that. In addition, NAD+ helps with neural protection and health. So you're improving your neural health, you're boosting up your energy, and you're helping to heal your cells by repairing the DNA damage. So take NAD+, every day or a regular basis. It's important because when you take this with some of the other things like C60, right, and ubiquinol, when you do that, you're helping the cells reach its optimum. You're helping your tissues reach its optimum. You're helping your organs reach its optimum. And when you do that, you're going to age slower. Your immune system is going to be better. Your endocrine system is going to be better. And you're going to just have more vitality. So please go to my store and get the NAD+. I take this every day. So please go to the store. It's the-studio-reykjavik.com. Another item that I take every day is NAC. NAC boosts up your glutathione levels. Why is that important? It soaks up free radicals. It's another pathway as an antioxidant. So you want to soak up those those free radicals, because as you age, you build up free radicals. All right, so you age faster because you can't clear the free radicals. NAC helps with that, with the other things. So it's synergistic with the C60, right? NAC is synergistic with NAD+. This helps to repair the DNA. This helps to soak up the free radicals through a different pathway, through the glutathione pathway, all right? In addition, it also helps to detoxify your liver and your kidney. NAC also helps to stabilize mood and mental health and mood. So if people are ADHD or have anxiety, NAC can help with that. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and take NAC. The main reason, the big reason for it is you'll boost up your glutathione levels and you'll be able to soak up more free radicals. That's important because if you have free radicals, you're starting to do cellular damage. Olive leaf extract, which is a new product that I have on my store. This is a dual product. It helps to boost up your immune system and help with your cardiovascular system. How? For the immune system, it brings down the inflammation. When you're bringing down that inflammation, you're not chronically inflamed and your immune system can kind of reboot and heal. In addition, olive leaf extract lowers LDL levels and increases your HDL levels. So you're improving your lipid profile and improving your cardiovascular health. So please go to the store and take olive leaf extract to boost up your immune system and to boost up your cardiovascular health. Ubiquinol. I take this every day. It's the active form for CoQ10. I've been taking ubiquinol and CoQ10 for many years. All right. Why? Because it's an antioxidant. It helps to boost up energy levels. And again, as you get older, you need more pathways to increase your energy. And in addition, it helps to protect neurons. So it reduces neurodegeneration. All right. So if you want to have the best cognitive function that you can have and have energy and have your cells to be able to perform at its best that it can, you should be adding ubiquinol to your supplement. All right. It's very important. Ubiquinol helps with neurons. It's an antioxidant and it helps to boost up energy. So please go to my store. This is synergistic with C60 because ubiquinol, you're attacking the antioxidant pathway differently now, right? Same thing with NAC. You're attacking the pathway through glutathione. You have CoQ10 to help as an antioxidant, and you have C60 as another means to soak up those free radicals. There's a common theme. Antioxidants is a major pillar to boosting up your immune system and slowing down the aging process. Major. Because when you look at someone that is geriatric and they're let's say just a few years from dying, all right, and it's sad to see, but their body's producing so many free radicals, it's not even funny. All right. You don't want to go down that route. You want to keep those cells as healthy and as neutralized by taking stuff that are antioxidants. You want to neutralize those free radicals so you don't do those cellular damage, because that cellular damage will do DNA damage. And when you do DNA damage, it can accumulate. So that's why you have to take the NAD+ to be able to repair that DNA damage. All right. So it's really important. Soak up those free radicals and your immune system will be better and you will slow down the aging process and your mitochondria will have more energy. So please go to the store, take ubiquinol every day. This is an important component. Vitamin K2. This is a dual product. This is going to help to improve your joints and your bones, your bone health. and it will help with your cardiovascular health. So take the vitamin K2 and follow my protocol. Take vitamin K2 every day. I've been taking it for a long time. Now I have it on my store that you can add it to your supplement protocol. I partnered up with Rainbow Herbals, and I have great deodorants. All right, they're dual purpose and very high quality. I have this in peppermint, lavender, and tea tree, and I also have it in citrus. This is made from essential oils from the Himalayas. Very high quality, extremely high quality ingredients. Has no aluminum, no baking soda, and it's a dual purpose product. It's for males and females. It's a deodorant, but it also helps to detoxify your body. Detoxifying your body is important. Smelling good is important. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get a couple bars of this deodorant. It's very high quality. All right. Way better than anything Procter & Gamble is selling or Unilever. Go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, get the deodorant, either in peppermint, lavender, tea tree, or citrus. Get a couple bars for your households for males and females. Let's jump back into Bloomberg, but I want to talk about zeolite really quick before I do that. Zeolite helps to detoxify your body from heavy metals, toxins, and chemicals. How does it work? Zeolite is a negatively charged molecule. It'll attach to positively charged toxins, chemicals, and heavy metals, and you will excrete that through urine, right? You'll urinate out this compound and the toxins in 6 to 8 hours. All right. You can take this every day, take a few drops underneath your tongue and drink it. Some people just take, maybe once or twice a year, just to, they use up a bottle. They do it twice a year and they just take a few drops underneath their tongue and, and they cleanse their body, maybe once or twice a year. That's another way to do it. But this zeolite you can take every day. All right. It's high quality zeolite, right? Everything I have on my store is high quality. All right. But this is the type of zeolite you can take every day. There's one caveat. If you are on medication, you have to talk to your doctor to make sure that you can use zeolite, because zeolite may bind to your medication and lower your dosage. So your doctor may have to up your dosage if you want to cleanse your body. But the ones that aren't on medication, go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the zeolite and cleanse your body. This is important because our foods, the air we breathe, and the water we drink have heavy metals, forever chemicals, and toxins that need to be taken out of our body. All right. These chemicals that are in our food, water, and air disrupt our immune system and disrupt our endocrine system. This is part of the reason why you're seeing a lot of problems with maybe weight with children, a lot of problems with behavior, a lot of problems with gut health, right? Because there's toxins that are building up with these processed foods and unfiltered water, the chemtrails, the overspraying of crop yield, the crops for agriculture. So you want to get that out of your body because you can kind of see it happening already. People just are having metabolic issues. They're having gut issues. They're having immune system issues. They have endocrine problems. Their hormonal levels are out of whack. You don't want to go down that road. You want to reset your body and cleanse your body. First thing you do is stop eating the processed foods. First thing you do is filter your water. And right, once you do that and you clean the environment the best that you can, right, and you reduce on how you're ingesting these chemicals, then you take the zeolite. And the zeolite will bind to those heavy metals, those toxins and chemicals, and you'll be able to urinate it out in 6 to 8 hours. And you can take it every, all year round, or, maybe, you just want to use one bottle once a year or twice a year. It's up to you. Take just a few drops underneath your tongue and drink it. All right. It's a high quality product. It works. And you can get rid of those forever chemicals. All right. But first, it starts with stop how it's getting into your body. And that is a big source of it is the air you breathe, and the water you drink, and the food you eat. That's a big part of it. Some of the other forever chemicals may be, on your cooking wear, or some of the clothing you wear may be water repellent. Water repellent are one of the ingredients within water repellents are these forever chemicals. All right, so you want to try to, mitigate your exposure to these forever chemicals, but taking zeolite will help to get rid of this stuff. All right, it will bind and get rid of this stuff. All right. In addition, you should be doing like maybe once a year or every other year, like a colon cleanse, a liver cleanse, or a kidney cleanse, and basically a light one. You don't have to do the crazy, heavy duty liver cleanse. You can do a light one where you take certain types of herbs, tinctures and stuff that help to cleanse the liver and the kidney. But zeolite is another means to get rid of those heavy metals and toxins and forever chemicals out of your system. All right, it can be done. But if you're on medication, either for diabetes or heart disease or cholesterol or whatever, you need to talk to your doctor first, because you don't want the zeolite to bring down your dosage level, because zeolite might bind to your medication and have you urinate it out quicker. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the zeolite to detoxify your body. It's important. Modern life has poisoned our bodies. All right. And if you listen to me, you can mitigate that. And I gave you a bunch of ways on how to do that. Now, if you don't want to listen, that's your own fault. But what I say about how to improve your health works. With the structural nanosilver liquids, like Max 35 or Max 14, you can get the applicator set and just put the liquid in here and get a spritzer, a dropper, and a nasal spray. You're going to need this during the cold season. Trust me. This cold season is going to be problematic. Why? People's immune systems are trashed. People are going in for further inoculations, which is going to weaken the immune system and potentially strengthen the ability to get infected. There's different pathogens that are floating around during this cold season. You have to worry about influenza, RSV, Mpox, and this SARS-CoV-2. There's a new variant that seems to be popping up that may take hold in the United States as the dominant variant. It's going to be problematic. What I am noticing with the people in New York is that people are getting infected with SARS-CoV-2. All right. They're testing positive. They're showing symptoms. All right. Like respiratory symptoms. All right. And, fever, their, energy levels are lower and all this stuff. It stays, somewhat, symptomatic for about 5 to 7 days. They get a little bit better and then it comes back. There's like a re-emergence of it. All right. So now I got some theories on why that is, but this is what I'm saying. In many areas in the United States, especially in high density areas, this cold season is going to be problematic. Now, that doesn't mean that ICUs or hospitals are going to be overflowing with patients. I don't think that's going to be the case. But I do think that this season, many people are going to be sick, and there's going to be a bounce back. You're going to have a rebound with it. Many people are having a rebound. All right. Now, if you pay attention to what I've been saying about the weakening of the immune system since the post-2020 crisis, that means reinfection from the pathogen, all right, causes problems with your IgG4s and causes problems with your CD4 positives. All right. So you're further weakening your immune system. If you get over inoculated, right, you're also causing problems with the CD4 and your IgG4s. All right. So you're weakening the immune system. Either way, you're weakening the immune system. The whole point that I'm trying to make here is that let the body heal, let your immune system slowly heal, right? And then you have these memory cells that over time, over a 5 and 10-year period, start to have a lower concentration, right, in your tissues. And so over time, you're reducing the memory cells of the B and T cells. And over time, your titer levels are going to be going down. And these problems with the CD4 and the CD4 positives and the IgG4s will slowly go down, right? And you're healing from the post-2020 crisis. But if you're constantly pulsing through natural infection or through the inoculation, you're constantly bringing back up those memory cells to be activated and to keep a reservoir. Well, that means that you need even more time to heal, to heal the body, right? You need about 5 to 10 years to fully go, you know, pre-COVID immune system, right? But you do get benefits over that first 2 years, the first 3 years, the first 5 years, right? And it just builds. But to really bring down that population, memory population, you need to stay healthy for 5 to 10 years. But if you're constantly pulsing this once a year with those inoculations, or constantly pulsing this with these even somewhat mild infections from contracting the pathogen, you're pulsing your immune system, and it's now reactivating these memory cells, right, and keeping them at higher concentrations and bringing up your titer levels. So we're weakening the immune system with SARS-CoV-2, all right, through additional infection and especially over inoculating, all right. So pay attention, all right. It's not just an inoculation problem; it is a pathogen problem, all right. So take my advice or don't take my advice. I don't really care, but I'm telling you what I'm seeing, and that is you have people that are contracting SARS-CoV-2. And there's a rebound effect this time. So take my advice, neutralize pathogens with structural nanosilver, take C60 and these other strong antioxidants like, like ubiquinol and repair the DNA damage by taking NAD plus and taking and bringing down inflammation by taking turmeric and ashwagandha. Right? If you take what I'm taking, you'll be okay. All right. But there's other people that just, they want to listen, but they don't want to pick, they don't want to do. It's up to you. It's the decisions that you make that will determine how you mitigate the problems that we're in. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the C60. I have it in MCT coconut oil. I also have it in extra virgin olive oil, and I have it in avocado oil. C60 is a molecule. It's a molecule that's 60 carbons. It looks like kind of a soccer ball. It's called a buckyball, and it's suspended in an oil because C60 is lipid soluble. So it has to be in an oil. So that's why we have it in avocado oil or extra virgin olive oil or coconut oil. You take a teaspoon a day. You take it every day, and it'll soak up those free radicals. You get the best absorption of C60 when you take it on an empty stomach. And if you work out, you should be taking it before your workout because it'll soak up those free radicals that you're developing when you're working out, but not just that. you will recover from your workout quicker. All right. So it's soaking up those free radicals and helping with that mitochondrial health and keeping that ATP up. All right. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Get the C60, take a teaspoon of it a day. Really important. It'll slow down the aging process and boost up that boost up that mitochondrial health and that ATP. And that ATP will help with the immune system. All right. In addition, I have it in a 2 ounce, a 4 ounce, or an 8 ounce configuration. If you buy it in a higher ounce configuration, it is cheaper for you per ounce. So it behooves you to buy a larger ounce configuration, but it's up to you. So get the C60 in extra virgin olive oil, in avocado oil, or in MCT coconut oil. Get it in the 2 ounce, the 4 ounce, or the 8 ounce. It's a very strong antioxidant, and it's synergistic with many things that I have been talking about today. If you do this, right, you're going to slow down the aging process, boost up your immune system, improve your endocrine system, and you do the proper diet, proper exercise, filter your water, do stretching, do balancing exercises, mindfulness, either through prayer or through meditation, challenging your mind by learning new things, by talking to real people. What will happen is you're going to actually see that your body is healing and you are aging slower, and you're going to have more vitality. That's the whole goal, is to have a better quality of life. Now, you're either going to pay through, less with doing the supplements, or you're going to have to pay down the road when you get older with heart disease and cardiovascular problems, and taking statins because of high cholesterol, and taking insulin because of diabetes, and taking beta blockers, and because of problems with your heart, and you're taking other medications because of endocrine disruption and all this stuff. You don't want to go down that road. You don't want to be taking statins. I mean, basically, when someone, is scoring higher than 200, doctors want to just put you on a statin. Not a good idea. But you can stop that by taking higher doses of nattokinase, taking omega-3, taking olive leaf extract, bringing down that LDL level, bring up your HDL levels, do a little bit of cardiovascular and some resistance training. And you know what? Your cholesterol will go down, especially when you start to stop, you reduce your intake of fatty foods and cholesterol. And you eat oatmeal maybe, 2-3 times a week to bind some of that cholesterol so you can excrete it. When you do that through supplementation, diet, and exercise, for most people, you can bring down that cholesterol and you don't have to be on a statin. Now, there are people that have a genetic disorder and blah, 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 and they have hyper, cholesterol levels. All right. Well, that's not the majority of the people out there. All right. The majority of the people that have high cholesterol in the United States doesn't have a genetic disorder. It's because they stuff their face with too much fat. They don't exercise enough, and they don't do the proper supplementation. So get in charge with your life. I've told you so many ways to be able to improve your life. It is in your hands to make a difference in your health. Now, if you don't want to do it, it's your own goddamn fault. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, get the supplements, follow what I'm doing, because it works. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and ask your social media to follow me, because I need to reach a larger audience so I can help improve people's health, help them navigate through tumultuous times with the financial markets, because it's complicated, and sometimes you need someone that has a deeper understanding on it. And what's going on geopolitically, because we are in dangerous times when it comes to the Middle East, when it comes to Europe, and when it comes to Asia. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, get the supplements, ask your social media followers to follow me so I can reach a larger audience. Thank you for your help and have a nice day.